Welcome to the Business with Beers podcast. This is the place where we help entrepreneurs expand their business, build their wealth, and generate passive income. I'm your host, Brian Beers, an entrepreneur who's on a mission to inspire growth from everyone around me. Remember that you need to take the actions others won't, and you can live the life that others don't. Please be sure to check out my weekly newsletter that now drops every Thursday. It includes one quote, one tweet, one podcast recommendation, plus some business and investing insight from me. It's short and it's sweet. My goal is to provide you with just a couple gold nuggets to help inspire your growth. Go to brianbeers.com to subscribe. Hello, everyone. I'm excited today to bring you Brigham Dallas. He is the founder and CEO of Hello Sugar franchise. Hello Sugar is a national franchise that does Brazilian wax sugar salons, and they have this remarkable business model that we're going to get into. So welcome to the show, Brigham.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Awesome. So let's go over we'll start with the business model. So what is the business model? Then we'll kind of get into your history and go from there.
Yeah. And to tie in my history, I started this when I was 26, totally broke, had no money, and put everything I had, which was like less than $5,000 to start this business. And today it's doing tens of millions of revenue, and it's a very profitable business. And I liked that strategy of growth that I had, which was low risk, fast to market, get there as quickly as you can, test the model, and if it works, then you scale to a higher level, much more than the idea of invest $400,000 your life savings and you're for the next 10 years, and then you don't even know it's going to work. You open it in like a year and you don't know what's going to work. So I like this step risk kind of model a lot more.
Okay.
And the way that Hello Sugar works is that it's a Brazilian wax and sugar salon. We start off in a salon suite. So you can think like WeWork, where they have like a lot of like rentable office spaces. Like there's these salon boutiques out there that will rent a room of 10 by 10, 100 square feet for a weekly price, right? And we start off in there. We do all the advertising, all the reception. We help you hire and train your people. We get the business off the ground. And then once you prove the business model, that's when we move it to a large brick and mortar store where you spend a year and then you get an SBA loan, and it's a whole process.
Yeah, that's the $300,000-$400,000 fancy build out or whatever that costs.
Yeah, but you already know it's going to work because you have all the metrics in place to see if it's going to you've proven the incubator already to know.
Okay. And so is that unique in the waxing? I know there's like European wax. I know there's some others. I mean, I'm not obviously a customer, but what's the landscape look like, and how does Hello Sugar kind of fit into kind of what the competitors are doing?
There's 4 large competitors in this space besides us, and there's no other business doing it like this. So we can start a franchise for less than $60,000.
Oh wow!
All in, working capital and everything included. Get it up and running off the ground. And according to our Item 19 from last year, the average franchisee that's over a year in business is making $65,000 profit. And the top quartile are hitting $115,000 profit on these salon suites. And then once they move from a salon suite to a flagship, we're doing between $150,000 to $250,000 in profit on the larger units.
Okay. So I'll just break it down so I understand it. So they start 60-ish K, they pay the franchise fee, they got equipment, they're starting in this small booth in a salon suite. So they get customers, they train their team, they got low rent, low overhead, low risk. This is what you're talking about, right? And then these guys are averaging, you said, 65K in profit the first year on average for that. So they're 60 grand in, 60K out. So they're getting kind of all their kind of capital back. The best ones are doing almost double that. And then during this time, they're starting to build out, find a great location in a strip center, somewhere probably in that region. So It's okay for customers. And then they build out what's a flagship cost? Ballpark.
Yeah, just backing up a little bit. So the $65,000 profit was for those that were 12 plus months in business.
12 months. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that first year, you really just you're putting a lot of costs in the beginning, but then you're using some of your profits to help build. So you're only going to hire 3 estheticians in the beginning. So for that first year, you're going to hire more estheticians. You might open a second room inside of that building.
Okay.
And you're gonna grow, and so the growth is gonna make it so the profits aren't that great, until about 4 to 6 months in. Then you start ramping up on the profits.
Yeah, because you're reinvesting the cash flow into hiring more people, hopefully building another studio, maybe marketing, like, which honestly is the way someone should do it. Like if they're not going to do that, like, they shouldn't buy a franchise. They shouldn't buy a business. This is a compound business. Like you got to reinvest your profits back into growing. I think, obviously for you, this is like really cool because they could start really low. They can reinvest their profits. They can grow the salon, and then they can take that money and then, continue to compound it into, the flagship, and then I'm sure multiple flagships, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we really look at this. We're like, oh, the profits of Hello Sugar for the suites, you're not even thinking about that. Just like you said, Brian, This is compound. You're thinking, does this model work?
Yep.
And
in my market. Works, yep. All that stuff.
Let's go spend a year of our time building out a flagship, and the entire time it's being built out, you're taking those profits in during that whole time.
Yep. Period. And you got some sort of cash flow.
Yeah.
What if it doesn't work?
This is really cool. So to build the suite, it takes 1 week. Okay. And so we've had salons that were like, this area is just not what I thought it was. Let's spend 1 week moving it to a different area and try again.
So same equipment. It's just they're moving. I mean, you just find another location.
Yeah, like we had a salon in Boise, Idaho. I'll give you an example of this. We had a salon in Boise, Idaho. It was one of our first locations, and we did it in Meridian and Boise, and they were 12 minutes apart. And the reason we did two is because we thought with training costs, it'd be cheaper to just train them all together.
Yeah.
But it's too close together for the market when we started. And so we took the one suite in Boise, we closed it down, we took all the revenue there, moved it over to the Meridian suite, and now we have all the clients from both, and they were profitable the first month they did that, and they grew it from there. And now they have a flagship there, very successful. And so this like pivoting and the movement of it also like lowers the risk.
Is success somewhat dependent on the location? I know different businesses, the location has a greater impact than others. Is this one where like location really matters?
So location in the sense of foot traffic, no, you're not gonna get any foot traffic in this building. So it's not like location, get them on the road with the most traffic.
It's like the demographics of that area.
Demographics of that area.
And I guess competitors and other probably factors too, right?
Yeah. And you think, hey, this is a salon, Brian, like I'll take a guess at this. Do you think it's like, are you looking for like really wealthy people, or are you looking for like less income? What do you think the right demographic for this is?
I don't know, somewhere in the upper middle, probably not the highest, but probably not the lowest.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought it'd be like really high. So like my first location was North Scottsdale. North Scottsdale is like this like primo 115,000 average income salaries. Like it's like a really good area. And it does okay as a flagship, but it's not spectacular. My best locations are the ones that are near women from 20 to 40 years old with a high density of females. So a college area is great, or an area that just has a lot of like
young professional.
Yeah, when you get into the high incomes, you have fewer houses because rich people like to spread out. Yep. And so you don't get the density of females.
So it's the urban, so it's like these downtown urban kind of areas is where you feel like you just got more opportunity.
Yeah, that's one of them. But it's not just that though. Like, I mean, we have a location in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is a ski town. That location absolutely kills it. Does so well. And it's because there's not a lot of competition there. And so the people that are there have nowhere to go but us, for a really good service. So it's like low competition can also be a factor in this.
And then how do you guys go about helping the franchisees select that like location, determine, I guess, competitors, female populations, ages, all that stuff?
So Hello Sugar is like really, it's like a tech company that does waxing. We have like so many cool tech softwares that we've custom built ourselves. And one of those is a mapping software. So we took Google Maps, we were able to purchase like layered data from census and other types of things. And we layered on top of Google Maps the percentage or the total population density of 20 to 40-year-old females and like other financial metrics and ethnicities, and then the competitors and like salons. So we've like layered all these data onto it, and we've built our own like proprietary software that tells us these things.
Okay.
It's not perfect, awesome, but it gets us a lot closer.
And then how close, I guess, within that market you want to put the flagship store from the salon suite?
Yeah, typically people for this would drive about 12 to 14 minutes. So we like to do a radius.
Okay, so they get a protected radius when they buy the franchise rights? Right,
so we do. Yeah, this is one thing that I have a problem with like a lot of franchise owners for. Like we do zones and territories. So a territory is like your exclusive, traditional, you can't go into that area. But, in franchising, or like, let's say Phoenix, or I started in Phoenix, in the beginning, Phoenix could have handled 5 locations, let's just say.
Yep.
Once we build the brand, we got more clientele, we have people in the area that tell other people about us, and we're a more trusted location. Now maybe you can have 7 or 8, maybe 10. But if I put 10 in the beginning, all 10 of those locations either fail or suffer. So what we do is we do zones that are 3-year expirations to prevent the franchisor, or us, from expanding too fast in an area and killing your market share.
Okay, so do you do multi-unit deals with people too?
We'll do multi-units. A lot of our franchise owners want to do multi-units.
Yeah. So I go in, I say, hey, I want to do Philadelphia. We'll pick how big is the zone? Let's say I want to do 5, because I think that's like a good number. What would it look like in terms of I pick like, here are the 5 best neighborhoods that I think, and then I get like a radius around those, and then I hone in on it, or what does that look like?
Yeah, like let's say Philadelphia had, let's say we just, imagine with me, we had 2 towns, Philadelphia A, 25 minutes away, Philadelphia B.
Yep.
And really there's like enough for a C in between, right?
Yep.
But that C is just not like,
yeah.
It's
and we don't
not
know,
there today.
like, are they going to be in the east and the west and it's a clear center, or are both A and B going to be close to each other, right? Which kind of hurts that.
Yeah, the idea is to take the fringe of that location that we're willing to drive farther than 14 minutes and say, hey, today there's people there that would start up in a new location and be really healthy for it. But if we did that, we'd hurt your location. So let's not do that today. Let's wait on something like that until you're mature. And, is there a defined 25-minute time? No, it's very dependent on the areas and like the market demographics.
So you're kind of going market by market to determine how big these zones are. It's not like 3 mile or 5 mile or 10 mile or whatever.
Yeah, Brian, and I didn't know this before I started as a franchisor, but that's really an art more than a science. It really is dependent on the areas, the locations. I mean, I don't know about you, but in Salt Lake, I wouldn't go west of the highway. I would never build something west of the highway for me. And
that's good. I think that's a good approach. I think sometimes they try to cookie cutter, and then it's like, in a highly densely populated area, like 5 miles is like a whole nother neighborhood. In other areas, like 5 miles is nothing. Like you just go 5 miles up the highway. So it Chicago could have 70 to 80,000 females in a 20 to 40, 12 in a 12-minute area. That's enough for like 5 salons. 12 minutes. Yeah. So you go market by market. So how many locations do you have sold and open today?
We've got 76 opened.
76. Okay, open. Yep.
And what's unique about this model is it takes 2 to 3 months to build.
Yep. So it's quick
so we've got,
to get into that salon suite.
Yeah. So once people sign the deal, I mean, they're up and running within the next quarter. We've got a couple, I'd say 8-ish in the pipeline, 8 to 10 in the pipeline for the next quarter. And there'll be more. People usually like to wait till the end of the year and then join on. I think next year we're going to go from 76 to about 200 units next year.
Oh, wow. Okay. How many did you sell in 23 here?
We doubled. So we went from 39 to 76. So almost doubled.
Almost triple it.
In this next year.
And why do you see that coming?
Well, most of our units are multi-unit franchise owners.
Okay.
And so the fact that, we have 75, I'm assuming we're going to do another 75 from the people that we already have.
Okay. Cause you have development agreements with them. So you're not counting those. Are you not counting those development agreements in the 76?
No.
Okay. So they might have another 100 like under development agreements that they could open.
That they could. So we don't reserve in the traditional sense of this is your area and that's the only one. It's more of a science. It's more of an art than a science with us. So I'm assuming that we're going to open about 75 more with the group that we have because, we're a profitable business and a lot of our franchise owners are growing and are happy. So we'll take those, and then 50 more is pretty reasonable out of a strong development franchise dev group. I think that's probably possible.
That's awesome. Then how many locations do you guys operate corporately?
I have 14 myself. So corporate's me.
14, and that's all in Arizona?
It's all in Phoenix, yeah.
All in Phoenix, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to open probably 2 to 3 more flagships in the next year.
In Phoenix?
Yeah.
Do you own all Phoenix, or do you have franchisees there too?
It's just me.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your team look like that runs that? Can you walk me through the architecture of it?
Yeah. So this is another thing. A typical business might take 20, 30 hours a week as an owner operator. One of these salon suites takes about 10 hours to operate a week. And some franchise owners have got it down to like 5 or less, right? And that's because we, kind of like you, Brian, we have overseas workers that help us with the management and like some of the stuff on that side. And we've done a lot on the tech side to reduce employee costs. I mean, like a typical salon has receptionists. We don't have any receptionists in our salon. So that takes half your employees out. Fewer variables, higher chance
what do
of
they walk
success.
in? They walk into this flag. We're talking about flagships, right? They walk into a flagship and
There's an iPad.
There's an iPad that checks them in. And the esthetician gets like a text, says, hey, your client's here. And they walk out and like get them.
Bingo. Or it's like,
okay.
it's on their phone, notification on their app.
And then they then book the next appointment through that?
Through the
The
receptionist.
app or whatever. Okay.
Through the receptionist. Or sorry, I'm the esthetician.
The receptionist. The esthetician and the technology. Okay.
The esthetician is the receptionist. And you think like, let's say you have 4 rooms, 20-minute appointments. Every 5 minutes, you kind of stagger the appointments a little bit. And so you always have somebody coming up to the front. So no one's really waiting a long time for somebody.
Okay. And they use different people each time. Like they don't book an appointment with Susie or Sally or whoever.
Typically, they like to see Susie again.
Okay. So they're with the same person each time.
You're naked on a table. You create a pretty intimate relationship with somebody.
Got it. All right. So you're talking about how it's kind of employee light because you got some technology. Mm-hmm. You don't really have reception people. It's only the technicians. So then a typical suite's what, 4 rooms?
Suite's 1 room, 1 to 2 rooms, but a flagship, which is our brick and mortar larger location, would be 4 to 6 rooms. 4 to 6 rooms. And how many estheticians will be employed at that? 10 to 14.
10 to 14. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of like part-time, kind of staggered shifts kind of thing.
It's a physical business. Yep. I'm guessing like mechanic work, like the Midases you have are similar to that. So, we do like 25 to 35 hours. I think 30 hours is like a full time on average for estheticians. And so we'll have those.
They make pretty good money, right?
In Arizona, it's averaging $28 to $32 an hour. So there's people above that. There's people growing their books still, but that's about average for us.
Yep.
And there's 6 months of schooling to become an esthetician. So that's kind of nice.
So you got 10 to 14 employees per flagship. And then what does it look like, at least for you and yours, of like,
the management?
I'm sure you have like an operations manager, regional manager. How many of those, like, to oversee how many locations? What's that look like?
Yeah, we break it down by revenue. So instead of doing like you're a manager of this flagship, we look at like about $250,000 of revenue, and that's a district manager. And the district manager has 1 full-time employee overseas who helps as an offsite manager to manage that location, the locations in that group. And that could be a combination of flagships, which is really people intense, or it could be a couple of suites, which is more location intense. In terms of more locations to have to create that $250,000.
So what do they average in revenue? What does the flagships average in revenue?
Right now, about $1 million a year is the average. So
we have. You said 250 though. What number did you just tell me?
250 a month.
Oh, 250 a month. Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, what the?
Good clarification.
You have 250,000 a month of revenue, which could be, a couple couple flagships, or a flagship and a couple suites.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's kind of a mix, and then I guess as one grows, they might get transferred to somebody else. Is that kind of?
It's like the balance. Like we want to make sure that the
why revenue? Why revenue, not location? Like number of locations?
Because not every location is as profitable or as like time intensive. Suites don't take a lot of time to manage. So you might have like 5 suites and 1 flagship, or like two flagships could do it. Like we have 1 location that has like three flagships.
You think that's like an easier, like a more level playing field than like a mix of between them? Because I guess if you had 6 suites into 6 flagships, like that'd be too much for one person, is what you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that would get split and then to 2 people probably.
Geographically, you're still going to the locations, inspecting them on a monthly basis for the suites, and then on the flagships, they're working out of the flagships. So they'll actually have they'll sit up front of the reception desk and work out of there, and they'll work with your estheticians, listen to how they actually talk and sell memberships and stuff to people. So those are the management level.
So how many do you have? How many of these district managers do you have?
We're doing in Arizona right now. We're doing $600,000 to $700,000 in revenue per month, and so we have 3 district managers split up, and we'll go to about 750,000. About 750,000 once we get to that next level.
Tune it down. Okay.
We'll reallocate. Yeah.
Okay. And then do they all report to you, or do you also have like a COO?
No, I don't. The Arizona thing, I'm completely hands off on. I'm just more there for moral support as a cheerleader.
Okay.
So there's a CEO who runs the business, Lisa. She's incredible. And there's 3 district managers. There's an HR director, and like Lisa's this like assistant person that helps like with that ministerial things.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and and for like everybody else, like kind of the point of this too is it's cool how like, you know, it's a very scalable business, right? Like, and you've proven it in Phoenix. You're doing, you know, $8 million or, you know, whatever it is in a single market, and you've like, yeah, obviously it sounds like you think there's room to grow that even further. So I think that's like really cool. I think when people get into franchise, that's one of the big things they're looking for is like, is it scalable? Is it duplicatable? How does the franchisor leverage technology and these other things that just makes it easier for me, so then I can focus on what matters, which is hiring and training and delivering great customer experience, which, you know, that's why you need franchisees, right?
Yeah. And to that point, you know, Brian, because we've lowered the barrier to entry for people to come in, we have some cool franchisees. Like it's people that I want to be around. It's people, you know, I always look at a franchisee and I say, I need to like them, trust them, and respect them. And unless I can do those three things, like we don't bring them on. And so we're not like strapped to bring franchisees in that are like, we just have to grow. We have to have like these people. Like we're really careful about the types of people. We want to create a really cool family, like a group that can.
Yeah. So what are some of the backgrounds of the franchisees that you've brought in? Like, what are the different profiles?
Yeah, ironically, a lot of them are younger. So 25 to 35 is like, I'd say 70%.
Okay.
And their first business entrepreneurial venture on that side with the 60,000. Because, you know, you think about it, they might not have a lot of net worth, but this business, after about a year where the models are proven, we can go to a bank and get an SBA loan to build the rest of that out.
And you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem getting the SBA loan. I know sometimes it's like, if it's less than 3 years, they're giving them stuff. If it's only 12 months, I mean, do you have some established ones that are okay and understand it?
Market specific, no. So like for the middle of the United States, if you took like the East and West Coast off, we have a bank that we partner with that's very good on terms.
And understands they don't need the 3 years of tax returns. Like, it's so funny how it works. Like, someone's starting brand new with zero, they'll loan them a bunch of money. But if they're like 12 months in, they're saying, oh, we want 3 years. And it's like, well, you would have given me a bunch of money if I got the loan 6 months ago or 12 months ago. But it does create some issues for some people.
I literally have that exact same conversation with bankers. I'm like, why would you give money to something that you know nothing about?
I know.
Like, yeah, we have all the stats and data on this incubator salon. Why would you not give these people the money, which is way safer?
Do you have any people that try to get the loan up front for the flagship and then like just try to delay payments or whatever until they need it? Or how does that?
No, that doesn't happen that way. But we do have franchisees that want to start immediately as a flagship and not do the suite route. Yeah. And in that case, they're going to try to get the loan up front. And we don't have any of those built yet, but those are some of the franchise owners that are in our system that are working that out. And typically it's a lot slower. Like, we have one that wanted to do a flagship out of the gate back in June, still hasn't found a location. I'm like, dude, you could have been up and running with a suite and making money.
And they're not even doing suites. Like, I could see, like, I don't know, if I was doing it, I'd be like, all right, I'll line up the financing for the flagship because I know I'm going to do that, but I know it's going to take me time to find the right place, time to build it out, and like, let's at least do the suite thing to like get cash flow going. I can build my team, like, and then hey, when it happens, it's good. And if I'm paying interest on the loan, like, it is what it is. But like, then we can move as quickly as we need to.
Yeah, speed to market is important when you find the right location, because just like housing, like a 1,200 square foot box, which is about the size we use, that's what a lot of businesses want. These smaller units that are just like,
that's what everybody. A lot of franchises. That's the model. What's your largest franchisee have in terms of locations opened?
We have a franchisee in Houston with 9 locations. Extremely heavy dependent on growth. He's opened 6 this year out of the 9. His first 3 did really well. He brought investors for the others and just really kills it. Okay.
What's a flagship? I know I asked you. What's a flagship 300-ish to open up the flagship one?
Yeah, like, so I've done it for 125. I found a location that was like a lawyer's like 4-room office. It was like perfect. And so I've got a couple of those. I've done like 125, and then I just finished to build out those 400. So it's anywhere in that
varies.
Range.
Varies, depends on, I guess, all the factors. But at the end of the day, it's walls, right? You're putting walls up. I mean, obviously, probably, carpet, flooring, lights, all the fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, if you can find something like that already built, then you save a couple $100,000 if you can. But I'd rather find the right location than pay $200,000 extra, because
that's always a concern with some of these brick and mortar, especially that have like these boutique models, is people like they want to get open, but then they're like, it's not the ideal like strip center or whatever it is, and then they're like forcing themselves into one down the road, which isn't as good because they want to get moving, but it hurts them in the end. Versus like, if they waited, they could possibly get a spot in that like ideal whatever next to Whole Foods and Starbucks and Pure Bar and whatever other things they want to be near.
to that point, Brian, like, so like, let's say you open 2 territories and you have the zone in the middle. So you have like territory A, 25 minutes, territory B. Well, territory A, territory B, and the future territory C could all be a flagship. And so when you're looking for a flagship, you can put it in one of the 3 areas where most franchisors are restricting you to that territory A location to build that flagship.
But but did that franchisee buy the rights to those 3 zones?
So they bought the rights, like, so territory A, they've opened a salon suite there. Territory B, they've opened a salon suite there.
Okay.
Territory C falls within that zone that will expire within 3 years.
Got it. Okay.
It gives you a lot more options to build.
Yep. And I know we touched a little bit on this earlier, but you talked about the profit per location. I mean, you guys have one of the most detailed item 19s that I've ever seen. Just talk about it a little bit. I think it's by location, by month. Yeah. So it's a 12-month P&L, right? Yeah. I'm doing this from memory. But then, so it's by location A, B, C, and then here's every single month what they did in revenue. Here's all their costs, like itemized, materials, labor, rent, utilities, royalties, etc. And here's their like profit before whatever debt payments and other stuff I'm sure they had. But
that was so hard to make. And this year
I can imagine.
Yeah, we're actually like creating an API that will like pull all the data into BigQuery and then like help organize it for us so we can keep doing this. But
that's the biggest challenge I think for all franchisees want to see P&Ls of franchisees, right, in FTDs. But the problem is like collecting that information and cleaning it up, because like franchisees like I want to show as little profit as possible in my P&Ls because I don't want to pay taxes. You want to show as much as possible because you want to sell franchises. And so it legitimately creates this barrier of like, well, what if I pay my wife or my kids or like as marketing employees, but I hide it all as wages because that's it's what I choose to do. And I have my company car and I've got my like country club membership and I've got my someone who knows what they're doing is going to try to hide all that stuff and not make it obvious, right? Like, so anyhow, that's a challenge. I know a lot of people we talk to, they want to see these very detailed item 19s, and it's really like they're conflicting interests. And so that's, I think, and especially as companies get larger, it becomes harder to clean that up. But obviously it's a ton of value if you can show like these are all the scenarios, and people can make their own decisions on what they think they're going to do.
So like the reason we did it monthly is because we're a brand new salon. I mean, we've only been open 2.5 years and we're already at 76 locations. So we've grown a lot during this time. And so we decided to put everyone who had been open prior to the year of the FTD. So take it back, if you opened December of 2021, you were on the 2022 FTD, but you wouldn't hit a year until December 2022. And so, during that time period, you're ramping up. I don't want to show like, oh, you made an average of $20,000 profit. I want to show that ramp up so people can see like, actually, no, it's a good business. It just takes a while for it to grow to that level.
Yeah, which is legit. And that's like, honestly, that is like the scariest part I think about opening a franchise is like, what am I going to do in the first 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it is. Like for me, that's like, it's the ramp up period and the unknowns of, the average does $1 million or whatever, but like, how long does it take to get there? And like, how much money am I going to have to put into the business to make payroll and marketing? And like, is there going to be a burn? Or, hey, maybe, I have really good odds of making this thing profitable from day one. There's, fitness franchises that open up cash flow positive because they have this whole pre-sale model. Like, and so really understanding like what that looks like and having those expectations, I think is really a key part of it. And I think it's I respect and I like that, any brand that shows ramp up periods, and very few do. So hopefully you can keep doing that as long as,
Yeah, that's the goal. It's scary because like in the very beginning, I've really tried to just pick the best rockstar, all-star like locations and franchise owners and everything. And, as we start to grow, we're at 76 now. By 200, we're going to have our winners, our mediums, and our losers. And I'm still going to be publishing like all of that transparent data. So I just hope people would then understand like, hey, sometimes markets, I mean, it's a business, right? Sometimes markets aren't all stars like hit it out of the park.
Not all franchisees are successful. I mean, some people buy them and they don't follow the process. They're not committed. It's whatever it is. Not everybody works out.
Not all of it works out.
And that's all, I think and that's the opportunity for the people that are good. Like, I mean, we've bought a ton of locations and by helping people who, weren't good operators, or they were, but then they just got tired of it and they wanted to get out. And so like, and then we come in, we're a ball of energy and we, double the sales and quadruple the profits or whatever it is. And so we win, everybody wins on it.
That's smart.
What are most of your franchisees female?
Most of our franchisees are male.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like I think it's more because like they're friends of mine.
But almost all the employees are female.
Oh, like almost exclusively. We have,
Okay.
you know what? We have one transgender employee in Houston, and that person is killing it. And like that was our first hire like that, and I was like, dang, this is incredible. So yeah, but as of now, all of the employees are female.
Okay, but most of the franchisees are male.
75% are male.
25 to 35. Do some of them, is it husband wife teams some, or is it kind of like
those are like the best ones? Like I love the husband and wife teams. The ones that like the female handles like the
employee relations
side, the softy side. That's just how it works. I'm not trying to be like gender specific on this. It's just they connect better with the females in the business. And then the guy kind of takes the back end and handles the finances and the growth and like the marketing and those teams kill it. They do really well that way.
And on the business model, is it a subscription? Do people sign up? Like how much of it is recurring revenue versus how much is like one time?
That's what's really cool about this business. So, hair grows back every month.
Yep.
So you need to come in on a monthly basis to stay smooth. We do a membership model. You come in your first time, you're going to come in on a free bikini wax. So we're going to promote this all over the internet. And so you come in on your first time for a free bikini. When you get in the door, you're going to get a membership. 1 in 2 people that come in the door buy a membership. And then the membership life is for however long that they want to stay smooth like that. And it's usually about 20% off the regular price of the wax.
And what's a membership cost?
The average membership's $55. So it's between 52 to 56. And
so $55 a month, which gives them a monthly. How often can they go for that?
Typically people come once a month.
Okay. Once a month.
Yeah. And then 1 in 3 people will add on something like underarms, brows, legs.
And that's like an upsell on that day.
Usually they do it beforehand. I mean, we stay fully booked usually in our salons on the days that they're working because we pay commission. We don't pay hourly. So if we're not booked, we're going to like close down hours.
Okay. Yep. And so that makes payroll then a highly variable concept for you guys.
Yeah. And it's like highly motivating for the estheticians because once they build their books, they actually can do better than a lot of the other salons that are traditional hourly plus commission because the commission is lower. In this model, they can make more money in the long run, but in the short run, they're like, they're making less than they would if they had an hourly plus commission.
And then what are some of the things like, so if in terms of the competitors, is it, can you guys go up against, I don't know, who's your biggest competitor? Is it
European
wax?
I
only know European wax.
Boxes. Yep. 1,000 boxes, European wax.
And so then what is like, how do you guys determine, like, do you go in, do you compete? Do you want to be within 12 minutes of them? Or like, can you go right next to them? Like, how do your franchisees think through that?
Yeah. So like, is it the Burger King McDonald's model where you like stick them right beside each other kind of thing? The way we think about it is like, is agnostic to competition. I'm not going to pick an area that has like 5 competitors or density of competitors as well of the same type in an area right away, right? I'm gonna build a suite in areas that seem like kind of like blue oceans. It's harder to find that because it's a competitive area with good demographics of like 10,000 plus females of our demographic. And then we're gonna use online ads to just destroy the market and just bring a ton of people in. We can bring so many people in through our online, like we're really strong at that. And so then once they come in, they try us out, they tell their friends, we build our business organically that way.
Okay. Yeah. And then if you feel like you're strong in the market, then maybe you're okay competing with, I don't know, Phoenix. You're probably not as scared to put it near.
Yeah,
I just imagine.
Opened a salon literally across the street from European Wax. Like you can see it from my location, and I feel very confident about that.
And is it different in terms of services or pricing or like just experience, or is it just kind of like the brand? Is it the Burger King, McDonald's? They just pick.
It's a very different feel. Without saying anything harsh about other concepts, we're very focused on helping people feel comfortable when they walk in the door. So our imagery, we use like cartoonish characters on all of the doors and all of the clings on the walls and everything. They're not cartoon. They're just digital. They're not like cartoony, but they're different types of people. And so all ethnicities, all genders, and like all types of people. And so you come in, you see like, hello, gorgeous. You see like, hey, like we're like body positivity. You open a door, it says you deserve the world, or like you look beautiful today. And then our estheticians that we hire, we're focused on finding estheticians that are your best friend right away. You make them feel comfortable. You get a smile out of
personality. Hiring for personality.
Yeah, because you're naked on a table, so you gotta think about comfort when somebody comes in the door. Yep. And so that's like one differentiator. And then the second is that we do sugaring and waxing. Waxing and sugaring is like an organic form that doesn't hurt as much as waxing.
Got it. Does European do sugaring?
They only do waxing. and they only do one type of wax, and we have multiple types depending on the hairstyle.
I know there's like hot ones and cold ones, and I know I've learned a little bit about it, but how do you do performance reviews for the estheticians? Like, how do you know if they're doing a good job or not? Like, I mean, obviously,
great question.
You know.
Yeah, so we're very analytic data driven. So I want to know a couple things. I want to know how many new clients are coming in the door, and if you're selling a membership. So we're gonna have a membership
close
conversion
rates,
rate.
so leads, conversion rates. So they have a sales component of it.
Yep. So there's that portion.
Yep.
And then the second thing is, how do you keep them on for a long time, right? So what's your retention? And not just the retention of the client, but what is the probability that after seeing Susan, they're coming back the next month? So we're looking at a 3-month time period and looking what the ramp up of the retention of the client is. And then how many loyalists you're seeing. So people that are loyalists are people that have come in 3 or more times. And we want to see you, quote unquote, building your books and ramping that up. And then the third thing that we're looking at is we do yearly audits of the estheticians where we actually grade them on their ability to wax and sugar. And so Brian, like, you can think like if you stubbed your toe, you stubbed your knee, right, on your desk, like it hurts, right? And then you put your hand on that knee because that feels better. And so when you're waxing, like you pull hair, you need to put pressure. Immediately you need to put pressure. And a lot of salons don't do that. And so it hurts more. So our like theme or our branding is all, it hurts less here.
Yep.
And because of those reasons, like we really.
So you determine that by surveying customers, I assume.
No, we actually do an audit internally. So we have an esthetician that's trained and like writes down all the things that they do for.
So you have 2 people in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. two trainers.
2 trainers, okay, and then they'll be observing and taking notes, and I guess
and then like writing like
with all this like
50-point certification of the pain management. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay, and then
if you lower pain, people will come back.
Yeah, no, that's I think it's huge. Cool. Well, anything else you'd like to share with me? I think this has been great. I mean, I learned a ton from you. I knew nothing prior to this about waxing and sugaring, but now I know a lot more. So
now you're ready. Yeah,
now I'm ready. Yeah, it's open Philly. What are some of the big markets that are still open today? Is it great? I know it's December. I know it's change. It's fluid, but
it's we're in 13, 14 states right now. We've got a lot of room to grow in the country. Northeast is not even hit yet.
Okay. Charlotte open?
Charlotte's got 5 locations. Not really an open market right now. Yeah.
What about down?
There's a lot of locations in Florida are still open. I mean, we find a location. If somebody's interested, go to Hello Sugar, like the franchise page of Hello Sugar. .salon. You can find us there. Hit up Brian Beers. He's got a lot of information. He's got my contact. You can find me that way, or Brigham Dallas. Find me on LinkedIn. We'll figure it out. But like there's tons of opportunities to get involved with the business.
Awesome.
And the last thing I'd leave you with is like, if you're like me 8 years ago, there's no way if you told me I'd have an empire of Brazilian waxing salons I would think you're crazy, right? Like it's not about your passion or level of like knowledge of like bikini waxing. This is more about, can you run a business well? Can you be a multi-unit operator? Are you interested and passionate about business, not necessarily like
that's I'm on the same page. We talk about it all the time. It's not about passion, like it's about like, I'm not passionate about cars or paint or whatever. It's more like I'm passionate about like building a team, running a business, making money, helping other people solve problems, right? Like, and that applies to anything. You just have to understand, in my opinion, I just have to understand the business. I have to believe it's a viable market. I have to believe in like, the team. There's other factors, but like, yeah, I mean, I think, if you can get past that and you're like, hey, this is just a widget, and it's one that I think I could do really well with, given my skills and my goals and my budget, my location, all these factors, and like, it's a fit. So
yeah, when I was looking at businesses, I thought of 3 things that were really important to me. 1, does the customer come back? Is there membership continuity in the customer? And 2, am I hiring career employees or job employees? Like, I don't want to run a fast food joint that I've got to constantly have turnover. And 3, is there a market to scale? Am I going to be pivoted to one location, or am I going to have the opportunity to multiple units where I can get economic returns because I have multiple units? Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate coming on. So if anybody's interested, reach out to Brigham through Hello Sugar franchise. Just mention that you heard about it here with me, or you can reach out to me directly through LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere, and I can happy to introduce you. And we have a bunch of resources we share to help on due diligence and make sure you cover all your bases. So well, thanks again for coming on the show and sharing your story. It's been awesome. I'm excited to see you guys grow.
Brian, it's been an awesome pleasure to have me. Like, thanks for having me on the show. It's been incredible. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
That's all we got for this episode with the Business with Beers podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is to rate the show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen. Also, make sure to link up with me on your preferred social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find all my links at brianbeers.com. Please just share the podcast with anyone who you think might enjoy it. And until next time, remember to take the actions others won't, to live the life that others don't.